Why, hello there, and welcome back to the podcast. I am Matt,
And I'm Joe.
and this is
Quiz
Quiz
with
with Queries. Now, this week we are talking relationships
Relationships and dating.
and dating.
Yes.
Oh
But
my
before
gosh.
we get into the actual topic itself, let's actually remind our viewers of what our Twitter handle is. Or, more accurately, we should be telling them what it is, because last week we told them that we had a Twitter, and then we straight up just forgot to say.
In fact, yes, please enlighten me. What is our Twitter handle?
So, our Twitter handle is at QWQ_podcast.
And that's it?
Yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
it's very, very long, but here's what's really interesting to me. Quiz with Queries was taken. QWQ was taken. QWQ podcast was taken, so I had to go QWQ_podcast.
No way. So there's another Quiz with Queries podcast out there. Are they going to
Well,
sue us?
it's actually called Questions with Queens, I think.
Okay. I did see on YouTube another Quiz with Queries, I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Escandalo. People have the same name as us. Damn, we're unoriginal.
Well, unoriginal. There you go. Look, well, fuck it. I'm keeping it. No one's changing. It's just going to be the race to whoever becomes more successful.
Yeah, just whoever's stuff shows up first when people Google.
It'll be us.
Let's hope. We gonna pray. Okay. So let's get into this. Well, we are both Gen Z little 2000 babies, right?
Heck yes.
Where I was born
1990
exactly.
who?
Right? I was born exactly in 2000, so I really love the reaction that I get when I tell people my age, and they're like, "Oh my god, you're so young." I'm like, "No, you're just old. Sorry."
Yeah. Honestly, yeah. Who doesn't want to be born in the year of the new millennium?
Right? It's like, "Oh, sorry, you're just old. Sorry, I'm young."
But
No,
as soon as you're born in 2001, I'm like, ew, that's so sad for
yeah.
you.
It's like you really missed out on the best year.
You're the dragon, biatch.
Yeah, but
So,
we're too.
us Gen Zers, we are weird with our dating and we take it all online. I can't say I've ever dated anybody, but I have been on the apps and
That
can
is
vouch for
so.
how fucking exhausting they are.
They are very exhausting, but that is so surprising to me. Wow.
In what way? I mean, I'm 20. I'm not that. I don't expect to have already had a relationship. I don't feel like I should have already had one.
You see, I feel like the straights start so young
Oh, they
that there's
do.
almost this kind of like, is there something wrong with me?
In year 8, when like everyone's talking about tuning and stuff, it took me like 3 solid years to work out what that was.
What even is tuning? I don't get it.
It's
What?
like when a guy and a girl are talking to each other, but they're not dating yet, but they're about to, so they're tuning each other.
So like, okay. I've never heard that ever.
There you
which
go.
is
Well,
so...
I'm probably teaching you outdated slang.
Oh no, I am happy to learn outdated slang. It's like that kind of slang that like when you're an adult you tell your kid was like the slang from when you were a kid and you expect them to know it and they're just like, what are you even talking about?
Yes. But honestly, I'm still waiting. Any boys out there who want to tune me? No, honestly, no, I'm not taking any applications right now. Sorry. But
That
you.
is-
Oh, sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to throw you under the bus and say, you, on the other hand, have had a boyfriend.
I have. However, she is now a girl.
Okay.
It's really funny.
My
I
apologies.
love. Oh no. I mean, it's weird territory to be like, what do I refer to her as in the past? But it's funny because sometimes to get under straight guys' nerves, like the ones who aren't getting any, I'll just be like, oh yeah, I've slept with a girl before, and they'll be like, wait, what? And I'll be like, oh, she was a boy back then, or like she presented, like if I'm gonna be politically correct, or like just straight up correct, period. Like the correct way to say it is, oh, like she was presenting as male at the time.
Yeah,
Um,
the kind of
yeah.
like me with my first gay kiss. She was presenting as male at the time. So was it my first gay kiss? I don't know.
I would say it definitely counts,
Yeah.
but Gen Z dating is like its own flavor of like difficult and annoying. Like other people were like, oh, like gonna go out and meet people. This is like a ghosting, breadcrumbing. Um,
Breadcrumbing. You taught me about breadcrumbing, right?
yes, let me just explain briefly to our listeners what breadcrumbing is in case they weren't aware. So, breadcrumbing is when someone doesn't ghost you, but they kind of give you like little breadcrumbs of attention to keep you like on their little trail, their little Hansel and Gretel. Is it Hansel and Gretel? Yes, that's the correct story. The little
Yes.
Hansel and Gretel trail to be like, oh, when really you're kind of like a backup or an option for them.
I'm not ready for anything, but I like the attention. Keep talking to me. I will initiate conversations with you, but I then won't reply.
Yeah, pretty much. It's interesting though because we find that annoying when we're on the receiving end of it. But
Yeah.
also, what's funny is that now I'm kind of in this weird like phase where I'm like oscillating between seriously accepting and not accepting boyfriend applications. So like sometimes I'll be like, yes, give me attention. Other times I'll just be like, I just want to be alone. Please, like, don't message me. This is like high key, not the tea right now. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
so
For me, I'm definitely, if I take a step back and really analyze myself, it's a hard no. But then, I did re-download Tinder the other day, and the odd cute guy pops up, and he seems interested, and you're like, oh,
mm,
okay, like maybe I can put, self-love and self-growth on hold for a moment.
yikes. I would
No.
never. No, I'm kidding. I shouldn't be judging you for your choices, but like it do. I kind of get it. Like I
Mm.
was like that for quite a while. Um, but okay. I feel like it was very confusing to people the way that I phrased my view towards like relationships in one of the previous episodes where I was like, it stems from yourself and like the other people like feeling the love of others is just an illusion. I've organized my thoughts and I've kind of summarized what I wanted to say in a clearer way on that note about self growth and like being away from relationships. Um, I guess what I am trying to say, and now that I'm on the verge of saying it, I'm like thinking about it in my head and being like, does this even make sense? um, but the feeling of being loved does not come from someone else. The feeling of being loved comes from within you. Like people can elicit it, people can it can stimulate it
Mm.
using something. Like for example, if someone gives you flowers, that triggers the release of oxytocin and you feel good. But at the end of the day, no one is dispensing the oxytocin for you except you. You can anything that a partner can do for you, you can do for yourself.
So this is your argument to just ditch the relationship and get it from yourself altogether?
I mean, no. I
Surely,
mean,
yeah. There's
it's
something
more
different
it's
from being with somebody.
yeah. It's more that like there is no pressure at all and there is no reason at all to try to get into something that you may not be ready for or you feel like you want simply because you want to feel loved because that feeling comes from within you
I
as opposed
totally,
to coming from someone else.
I totally understand that because, yeah, right now I wouldn't say I'm ready, and if I'm just hunting for that feeling of being loved, like that is not enough to enter a relationship and impact someone else's life and probably
Yeah.
cause some more drama for myself and later down the
Yeah.
track.
Yeah. But basically it's like instead of looking for someone outside of you to trigger the release of that oxytocin, um you can always trigger the release of the oxytocin yourself.
And how are you gonna love somebody else if you fuck? I really fucked that quote, didn't I?
Yep, you really did. All the queers listening are going to be like, "Oh my god, Matt, what? Like, how dare you?"
Please, oh my god! I even took like a second. I was like, brain compute. if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Insert amen.
Amen.
Now let the music play.
Do,
And then
do,
our
do
podcast
the
is just
words.
done.
Yeah. Yeah, fuck, I said it too early.
Don't
But
worry, we'll bring it back at the end.
all right, that's how we'll finish it this week.
Yeah.
I feel how do you find self love though? For me,
Shelf love.
shelf love.
I love my shelf.
Honestly, your shelf's pretty damn gorgeous.
It is looking pretty fine.
Honestly,
I do love my
also
shelf.
after saying that, I was like, a shelf. That's like an innuendo for something, right?
Surely, maybe, who knows?
Is that
Who
like,
knows?
yeah? Could that be used for breasts? Like, a
I
shelf.
think straight
Oh,
guys
it's like
call it a rack.
a rack for
Mm.
abs. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But otherwise, you're on Tinder.
I am.
We were talking about it briefly last week, but you take it more of just as a game, which is essentially dating now. It's nothing really comes from Tinder or Grindr or Bumble or whatever you're on. It's just kind of like any other app, something we use to waste time.
Well, here's the thing. It is definitely something that I do to waste time. And you're right, it is almost like a game to me. But at the same time, I think people are aware, or at least I
Yeah.
am, because I've met some pretty trash people. Um, some people, at least, are aware that at the end of the day, there is another real person on the other end of the screen.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's it's weird because it's not that I think that nothing will come of it. It's more that I'm expecting nothing to come of it. Um, but if something does happen, it's not like I'm completely opposed to it. Like this was just a game. I can't believe that uh, you would possibly have feelings for me at all.
Oh,
Like it's
absolutely. That makes me
yeah,
vomit if someone was to get to the end of lead somebody on and be like, "Oh, but this was just some sort of Tinder stupid relationship." It's like,
yeah,
no, it's even if it's just online, it's still real. It's still something.
yeah, because it's still other people's like real ass emotions.
Absolutely. And even if
Also,
that's a yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
I hate that my voice, like when I was imitating like a piece of trash men, kind of just went somewhere between my normal voice and Nina Bonina Brown's impression of Jasmine Masters.
I actually watched a Nina Nina Benina Brown. Why couldn't I get that out of my mouth just then?
Nina Bonina Banana Fafana Osama Bin Laden Brown.
Yes, I was watching her today. Oh my fucking god, she's brilliant. I haven't watched season 9 of RuPaul, so I
Uh,
completely missed the boat. But I was watching a
so
YouTube channel.
so she does this pretty spot on. Well, I mean, it's not like spot on, but she does a pretty good impression of Jasmine Masters, and she sounds like, "My name is Jasmine Masters, and I got something to say. RuPaul Drag Race done fucked up drag. Point blank, period. It is what it is."
That was a pretty good impression yourself.
Right?
Thank you. Like, yeah, that was actually very enjoyable. If you
Truly a
have
vocal technician.
If you aren't familiar with RuPaul's Drag Race, you might be familiar with the meme Anna Oop. That was from Jasmine Masters.
Yeah. But I feel
Yeah, I
like
can't do that.
online dating is pretty much just like zero commitment. Um, it's and honestly, currently, like when I was seriously like taking boyfriend applications, I was like, oh my god, this is so frustrating. But I feel like now that I have zero expectations, zero desire for commitment, and I'm kind of just there for fun, I'm like, I understand the appeal of this now.
I feel like when I first downloaded Tinder, every match I was invested.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the tea.
It
Yeah,
was
and
like,
when
oh my
you
god, a match?
yeah,
Sorry.
and when you're in that mindset, like
Yeah.
everything is so much more serious to you. Like, especially because here's the thing for your straight people. Gay Tinder is your match, but then nobody talks to each other. And if you message first, there is a 9 out of 10 chance that they will not message back.
Wait, sorry, did you say
Um,
this was gay Tinder?
yes.
Interesting. For me, I think it's just been I've been maybe for the past year I just haven't frequently been on Tinder. And when I go
Mm,
on, maybe I'll message somebody, I'll say hey, but I won't check back if they've said hey back because I'm not genuinely looking for something.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
fair.
guess that's just where my brain is at. But
Yeah.
maybe in the past when I first downloaded it, I was like, are they responding?
Yeah, so then
What
like you
sort
get
of
really down about it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, oh my, and then we can go back, we can go into what text message etiquette as well later on. What do we do? Do we leave them on delivered or read?
Oh, sweetie. Always red. Here's the thing.
I
Um,
agree.
it doesn't feel any better to be left undelivered. In fact, it feels worse that they felt like whatever you were gonna say wasn't even worth their time to check. Um,
Or like that you
yeah,
were just avoided completely. I would much
yeah,
prefer to read it. That is sends a much stronger message of no, I'm just not interested.
yeah.
Thanks. That'd
But
be
here's the
great.
thing. I don't know. It's weird because I've never really gotten to the point where I've messaged someone on a platform where I can see if they've seen the message and for them to not respond. Um, because
What?
generally, like
The
I
people
I
on your
only really
messenger are your
yeah,
friends.
like I only really contact them on Messenger if we've already been talking for a while.
Absolutely. Have you met many people through Tinder, like gone on many dates?
I mean a couple, but like
Yeah.
honestly, here's the thing. Most of the time, you'll be like, okay, there is no chemistry here. Um, and like
If any conversation starts with "Hey, how are you?" it's not leading anywhere.
yeah, but also like I feel like I have a policy with that. I'm like 2 dates at the end of the second date if I feel nothing. Like it is what it is. Let's just leave it. And generally, if you feel like that, the other person can like vibe that you feel like that too.
I don't think I've ever been on. Oh, maybe I take that back. But from Tinder, never a second date.
Oh,
No. Hmm. Maybe I wasn't feeling it, or I've also not been felt. And it says that
I've not.
awkward exchange at the end, and you're like, "Oh yeah, I'm like really keen to see you again."
And you're
And they're
like,
like, "Oh my god, yeah, I am
mm,
too."
and you're
And
like,
then so you're
oh,
like, "Ooh," and then they don't open your message when you go
rip.
back home. R.I.P. But then they wait a day, and then they reply, and they're like, "Nah, I'm not feeling it." And you're like,
Mm, yeah,
"It's okay."
yeah. Um, a funny story about that. Here's the thing. So you know how I have that 2 date policy where if by the end of the second date, I like don't don't get any vibes if we're
Yeah.
just not vibing. Yeah. Um, there is someone. Do you remember that that group on Facebook, Subtle Queer Traits?
No, I don't think I'm a part of it.
So there was a very big Facebook group called Subtle Queer Traits. I think it was in 2018. I can't remember, but basically, someone who I went on a Tinder date with ended up posting something on that group, and it was like a Spotify playlist of like people's favorite songs to walk at queer speed to. Um, and here's the thing, he was like, "Oh yeah, I'll like add everyone's recommendations. Just leave your recommendations in the comment section." And this was months after the second date. We hadn't talked, and I assumed that he kind of got the hint that. And by the way, this wasn't like he messaged me and I didn't message him back. There was just no messaging after the second date. And like he didn't message me, I didn't message him. So it was quite clear, at least on my end, that neither of us were like hoping to go on another date, right?
And
But then I leave my song recommendation and he fully pretends that it doesn't exist.
so he's reacting to everything else and
Yeah.
not yours.
So, yeah. So
Ouch.
he's added everyone else's except mine. And I'm like, this is high key really petty. Like, this was A, months ago, and B, like, not even a big deal. Like, do you know what I mean?
Why is he trying to take the upper hand and be like, oh yeah, like it's my choice that I'm not seeing him when it was obviously
Right.
mutual?
No, but it's not. But it's not even that. Like, I'd like honestly, I have no issues with anyone trying to act like they broke up with me when it was mutual because I don't care about that. Like, it's just so weird to me that he was so caught up on it that like months later he was still like, this is not over. I have to make it known to you somehow that I was not happy with the way that things ended. I'm like, okay, sis, work.
To be honest, well, did anything bad happen? Was there any hard
No.
feelings? Okay, yeah.
I don't think so. At least it was not communicated to me if that was the case. But like, uh, literally, like nothing happened. It was extremely uneventful.
Well, yeah, well, honestly, I guess it's nice to at least have some sort of definitive answer about that sort of thing. I feel like
Yeah.
from anything with me on Tinder, just kind of a whole lot of messaging that leads to nowhere.
Rip.
Do you, like,
Oh no.
I have, oh my god. I still have one person I messaged on Tinder. I've been messaging on Tinder from Tinder like a year, almost 2 years. Almost 2 years. I've
Jesus
never seen them.
Christ.
I'm not interested in them. Like that ended like, within the first however many months, but for some reason I'm still like the odd message to them.
Fair. Fair enough.
But like, I mean, it's just so funny. I find that's why I'm like, I can't be bothered with Tinder anymore because if it's just going to be a bunch of talk to leading to one date that I'm not going to follow up on, I don't really
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
I'm
But
just going to
also,
use
like,
this when I'm in bed and bored and I don't have anything else to do.
yeah. Have you ever met anyone who looked nothing like their Tinder photos?
Oh, yes. Yes. In fact, yes. Yeah, I don't have anything more to say to that because not
You don't want to
necessarily
expose them.
I don't want to expose anybody, but but you definitely get the odd. You're just like, oh, okay, like it makes sense, but your profile does look very different.
I mean, like, it's all really in the angles, right? It's all really in the lighting and
Oh,
all of that. And then like they're not like extremely different to the point where you're like you are unrecognizable, but at the same time you're like you're like different.
have you ever had like you meet them and then maybe like they open their mouth or like I don't know, there's just this stance and like instantly you already know that you're not interested or like you haven't even approached them yet. You just like instantly don't feel the chemistry.
Mm,
And now you're like, I was hesitant about this going in, but now I'm at the very beginning of this date and I know it for sure that I'm not vibing and now I have to be in this state.
I don't know, honestly. Like I never go into it being like I am so incredibly attracted to this person. It's a kind of Schrodinger's cat situation where like it kind of unravels as I discover more about them and I'm like, how do I feel about them? Um, I've never met anyone where like before I've even met them in person, I'm like, oh my god, they just set my loins ablaze. Like no, that's just not how I work. Do you know what I mean?
Well, to be honest, me, yeah, we get pretty invested pretty quickly.
Yikes.
No, honestly, no, those days are over.
You say that and then you're like watch me go and like repeat all of my self-destructive behavior because that is the queer like that is the queer way. We're like we've moved on from that and then like 5 months later it's like I'm just gonna repeat all of my destructive behavior.
Like, I'm so glad that this has happened to me because I've learned so much about myself and I'm glad I don't have to do this again. Oh my god, I love you.
Who is this beautiful stranger who I just saw on PT and I've now imagined my entire future with?
Oh my god, I literally did that last weekend. I saw this guy on PT. I was like, I know exactly who you are and I want to fuck you. No.
Yikes.
No, take that. Can we edit that out? Wait, I'm
You're
gonna.
the one doing the editing this week.
Oh, I am. Okay, I'm gonna repeat my line. I know exactly
Just like
who
the
you
lead bit.
are. I know exactly who you are, and I want to date you.
I love that you just changed that one word. You're like, I gotta make this PG because my family is listening.
I gotta make this not rapey. I gotta make this, yeah. No, thank you to just seeing somebody as a body. No,
Yikes.
yikes.
But like also, I brought up angles and I noticed every single week because I'm sitting on the non-squeaky bench because I have like a squeaky chair that I usually sit at for my desk and then like
Oh, there you
I
go.
change it out for the bench. I'm like every single week this angle that I'm sitting at is homophobic. Like just looking up into my nostrils like
That is,
my
oh, that's
my jaw
me.
is non-existent.
What is my angle right now? I don't think my angle is pretty homophobic as well. The lighting is bad. The
The
camera is
backlighting.
also from below. But you look all right. You have a nice lit
Thank you.
face. Ooh.
Um no.
But I don't know. I feel like I can definitely see a cute guy on the train and maybe just take a photo of my bag in front of me, but really his head is in the corner of the photo.
That is high key really creepy. That's so creepy to me. Like, I'll text a friend and be like, there's a really hot guy on the train sitting across from me. And they'll be like, send me a photo. I'm like, no, I'm not sending you a photo of some stranger on the train. Like, that's high key really creepy.
Yeah, it's creepy, and it's not like I'm looking back on the photo like, oh yeah, but that was fucking disgusting. Why did I do that?
Yeah, that was a really gross voice. But I get it. It was a character.
It was a character, yes, a bit. But I don't know, I'm just appreciating their beauty. But also I feel like that would be what a straight man says when he wolf whistles at a girl. Oh,
Yeah.
just appreciating her beauty. Yeah, gotta get rid of that shit. So,
But like, here's the thing. Sometimes men will look beautiful, gorgeous, stunning, Linda Evangelista, fucking Patrick Swayze realness, like just beautiful. But then you meet them, they open their mouth, and you're like, this person is trash garbage the house. This person is the worst.
I've never met someone who is just the worst. Okay, Tinder, I'm interested in a relationship. No. Grinder hookups. Yes. But also there's not with a grinder hookup. Yes, Flick's hair experience, not something to brag about necessarily. I mean, there's not really much conversation though, to be
Right.
honest. It's like, hi, yeah, how are you? Yeah, good.
Can you host?
Honestly, to like the conversation to that leads to a hookup on Grinder is literally maximum 4 messages. Hi, what you looking for? Fun. What about you? Send the address. I don't even know how many messages that was, but
That was more than four, but we get
but
the
like I'm
idea.
thinking four each. But
Gotcha.
so that was
Okay.
less.
No, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. No, but there are okay, so not all of these have happened to me. In fact, usually the guys who are trash garbage get filtered out pretty early with me.
Oh,
Like I feel
absolutely.
very lucky in that regard. For some reason the garbage takes itself out. I don't have to get my hands dirty, take out the rubbish. But some people are trash and I've heard stories from friends. I've seen receipts. I'm like, this is yikes. So one of my friends was like, as you would say, what did you say? There's something the thing that when they're talking before they're dating.
Tuning.
Was tuning this one guy, and apparently he thought that being a redhead, like being fetishized as a redhead, was the same thing as being fetishized for being Asian.
Oh no.
I'm like, sweaty, no, you can't like, because
I'm an
like I guess
oppressed
if you
ringer.
simplify it to just that, if you simplify it
Yeah.
to like a set of traits that you get fetishized for, then I guess it is the same. But at the same
Yeah, that's
time,
true.
like you're ignoring a lot of social and historical context here, sweaty. Like,
And have you experienced anyone fetishizing? How do I say that word? Fetishizing you?
I mean, like, definitely, it comes with the territory when you're a gay Asian man. Like, 90% of the guys that you slept with will have slept with you because they're fetishizing you. Um,
Ooh.
like, and that's not just me. Like, ask any gay Asian guy. Like, they will tell you the same thing. It's weird because it's a fine line where you're like, okay, like, do I deserve intimacy? Yes, but is it healthy that it only comes with being fetishized? No. But then at the same time, there is no alternative other
How,
than like complete abstinence.
how does it come across though? How do you know somebody's fetishizing
Oh, sweaty. Okay.
you?
let me let me explain to you what happens.
Okay.
You match with them, you look at their profile, they have written part of their profile in Chinese, Japanese, Korean, or all three, and it's usually with very bad grammar in that language. Um,
I mean,
then,
I'm surprised you're still talking
then,
to them.
then,
I'm
I mean,
surprised you haven't swiped
I mean,
right.
again, it's like you have no alternatives. Um, they're basically they're learning at least one of those languages at uni on the side as a breadth because they're like, oh, I'm different. They believe in the model minority myth, and think that being an Asian immigrant is like the height of like hardworking, like being like a hardworking person. They, you walk into their home and you see like a katana hanging up in their living room on the wall, and on either side there's like Chinese like script because apparently all Asian cultures are a monolith to them. It makes no difference where it comes from as long as it's Asian. Um, what else? Um, oh, right. He has traveled to Japan, and you see all of his little like travel photos in his home. Um, Got to have those thousand Tory gates sweaty. Um, what else? He usually has considered or has actually done this, where he travels to Japan to teach English for a year.
Oh my
um,
god.
like
I'm just
it's
like, no, this is too real.
it's it is too real. Like when I'm saying like this is not me making shit up. This is the tea, right? Um, yeah.
The traffic.
So like here's the thing. Like being interested in Asian culture doesn't automatically mean that you fetishize like Asian
No.
people. It's that there's a certain degree when it becomes indicative of a deeper problem, right?
I
It's like
mean,
when all of his exes are Asian, and then you see all of that, and you're like, okay, I get the picture.
sure, use Chinese or whatever on in your Instagram or whatever, but on your if you're putting that in your Tinder profile, that's basically saying, "Hello, accepting applications specifically
Right.
from China."
It's high key grot. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's honestly not a fun time. Um, like again, there is nothing wrong with appreciating cultures that are not your own, but when all of your exes are Asian and your entire home is just like Asian style, Asian fusion, Asian cultural monolith, like shit. Like that's when it starts to feel a bit like off. You're like, oh, um,
Where are you, where are your posters? I'm looking at
my
your room now.
posters.
Where are your Asian posters?
I
You,
I believe in clean, simple minimalism.
oh. I can't say the same for myself. I believe stuff represents your character.
No, I mean, like, here's the thing. I'm minimalist in the sense that I don't like to inundate my walls with posters, but, like, I like to, like, I'm not, like, harsh minimalist. Like, if you look at, if I wasn't sitting here and you could have a full view of my room, it is all plants. It's all just plants.
Plants, and it's yeah, no, so good. My room is okay. Well, look, I do have. I do have two sarongs hanging in my room, so I'll take a step back from this conversation.
But But are all of your exes Asian though?
I don't have any exes, so I will
Fair
also
enough.
don't need to. But of the people I have seen, no, no.
Yeah, cool. Then it is probably not an issue. Probably.
Probably. I mean, like maybe like 95%, but like no, I've dated a white man. I mean, I've seen a white man. I swear to God.
Ugh.
No fucking way. No, I don't have a chart of just pie chart of yeah. So I'm thinking like there seems to be a trend towards Southeast Asia. But like I'm happy to go further north. What is this?
Yeah, honestly, what is this? But now that I have shared my stories, or like kind of stories of men being gross, do you have any horror stories about men being gross?
Oh my god. I've I don't know like how much I want to share, but like
Share it all. Spill the
share
tea.
share it all. Okay, I've definitely okay. I've been on like not yes. I've been on Grinder, and I've seen maybe after the restrictions in COVID ended, maybe we got a little busy. One guy was like so objectifying that it's kind of
In what way?
that it was like yeah, you're such a good whole, kind of like to that
Oh,
fucking disgusting shit.
yeah, I know, and yeah,
And
I know
just
the
kind of
type.
seeing you as that, and it's just like about constant about your body, or like your taste, and ew, why am I even
Ew.
sharing all of this? And it's just like I am so beyond uncomfortable, and
Yeah,
I think it's even like also with consent as well, and you're like, no, I don't like that, and they're like, no, it's only I'm only doing this, and you're like, I
and you're
said
like
no.
only okay.
Okay, I'm not coming back.
The fun thing about that is that immediately based on what you just described him doing, I can tell that he was definitely not like our generation. He's definitely older.
Throw me under the bus.
Because our
The
generation is so incredibly aware of that. We're like, okay, people have traumas, people have complex backstories, people are not just objects, they're people. So if they say not to do something, then we don't do that.
Yep, absolutely. I gotta say, I gotta quit with the older trend, because
Not healthy.
it's not healthy, and it feels shit to not be listened to like to say
Right.
oh, like to squirm at something, and then they kind of like, oh, they kind of recognize, oh, you don't like that, and you're like,
And then
no,
they
not
keep doing
really,
it.
and then they keep fucking doing it.
Yeah. No, here's the funny thing about that though. Like, it's objectively unhealthy, and yet at the same time there are some days where you just want that. You're like, I want to be manhandled.
It's
I want to be objectified today.
yeah, it's honestly true. Like I get into this healthy mindset. I'm like, I don't want to have sex with this man, but I want to please him. I want him to like he's going to enjoy this, and
Yeah.
it's like yeah, I feel like it's a headspace I enter sometimes, which is obviously really unhealthy, because there's nothing in it for me.
Right.
But I'm like, he wants me, and he wants me to come over, so I will.
Yeah.
And even though I know won't enjoy myself, or I'm tired and I don't want to be there, I don't know how to say no.
Yeah, like you
Yikes.
enjoy the feeling of like utility that you provide. I totally understand that. It's weird, it's unhealthy, like, but I get it. And
Yeah,
I would
it kind
assume that
of
a lot
it's
of younger gay guys get that too.
for sure. And I think in the gay community, well, I guess there is a trend towards, age gaps and things, because well, so many people aren't out around your age. Maybe not anymore, but what is this kind of don't want to
We all
put it
have
down to
daddy
daddy
issues. You're allowed to
issues.
say
Okay, fuck. I was like, am
Like,
I
if you're
am
not
I
gonna
gonna
say it,
fuck?
I'll say it.
Thank you very much. That is what I was leading to. Um, but yeah, is it daddy issues that? Yeah, maybe.
I mean, it's the most plausible explanation.
It feels maybe it's just easy, or it's like in
Mm,
my head it's like they're the most available person. If I don't want,
yeah,
I don't want to fuck around with somebody my own age because they're that's
they're not
some.
necessarily available. Yeah,
I don't want to know more like I want to date the people my own age, but I don't want to develop feelings. Uh,
mm.
Wait, did I?
No,
No. What?
I
I
understand
want to
that.
just. If I'm gonna have casual sex, I feel like I don't want to be able to see them as someone I don't
Yeah,
want the possibility of wanting to date them. I don't want to
yeah,
fall in love
no,
with them. Yeah.
that makes sense. But also, I think one of the reasons for that kind of unhealthy obsession on the other end, because for us, it's like young guys, it's like they have daddy issues. But for older guys, in the gay community, I think that there is an obsession with youth and beauty.
Yes.
And
Oh,
because the two are so incredibly intertwined, um, they kind of pursue young guys because it's what they're told is beautiful and it's what they no longer have and they kind of long to have again.
absolutely. And they mention it as well when. How much am I revealing
Mm.
about myself right now?
Oh
Um.
no, they any gay guy knows this. What you're saying, everyone's experienced it.
Absolutely. They comment on it and they're like, "Oh, like you're so smooth and yeah, wow, so young and yes, I only go for the young guys. And the
Oh,
young
that's
guys
gross. Okay,
and
no,
the young
that's a
guys
little
keep coming back for me, so you know I'm
that's a little
good."
gross.
And you're like,
Oh,
"Oh,
that's a little much.
it's a little much." But
Yeah,
to be honest, if there's anything to take away from this, it's not to is if you don't want to do that, please do not put yourself in that position. I've
yeah,
done those things not because I wanted to be there, but because maybe there was something going on in my head, and my brain in that moment told me that that's what I wanted to do.
yeah. But I feel like our community, because of like how heavily we emphasize the importance of being beautiful in our circles to be accepted, um,
Mm,
I hope that some of our more toxic attitudes towards that can change within the next generation. So by the time we're older, we don't have that weird predatory vibe of like, I want to be young again. I'm gonna fuck young guys. Like what the fuck is that? Like,
oh, absolutely.
it's it's gross. It's not productive. It's I don't know. It's yeah. It's not healthy.
I mean, that's what I worry about as well. I'm like, what happens if I do become that person who just? It's like I don't think I will, but like, is that my fate?
You see, I have never had to worry about that because I don't know if you've noticed, but all the old guys who are like that are white.
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
have a
oh.
theory.
Mm,
Okay, some of them aren't, but those are like the guys who are like closeted and are like exploring in their older age.
oh, right, the
Um,
closeted ones.
yeah.
Yes. In
The
fact,
the
you go.
I have a theory as to why they're always white. It's because they at some point knew what it meant to be desirable and young and beautiful in the gay community's eyes. Whereas people of color, we are never considered, like almost never considered desirable anyway. So
Right.
it makes no difference to us when we age. It's like, cool, we were invisible at the start, we're still invisible now.
And so, I mean, well, yeah, you see it on the apps quite literally. Yeah, no femmes, no fats, no what? No Asians. Yeah.
Yeah,
And so that's yeah. Instantly, you're already faced with this of I'm not desirable, and no one wants me before I've even said hello to them. Um,
right. And it's like, and also you are invisible at clubs, you are invisible at events. And so, like, it's just kind of normal to us. So, like, when we age, it makes no difference. We're just like, cool, this is normal.
and it's shocking because uh, well, you get the white gays who maybe take over those spaces in the clubs, at pride events, um, gay bars and whatnot. But the people who fought for those spaces were
Are people of color,
people of color,
queer
trans
people
people of
of color.
color. Yeah.
Yeah.
So and then that's why it's so fucking annoying. And they get their white ass abs out, and they're like, I am the most attractive because society says I am.
Right, but it's not even that individuals act that way, but we have a community that's trying to be more inclusive. We have a community that is actively trying to erase the existence of queer people of color, of people who aren't tall, white, and muscular. Like, do you remember when Puff Duff's photography brief in Melbourne, Puff Duff got their
Yeah.
photography brief leaked? Like, people were shocked. I was like, why y'all shook though? Like, y'all barely ever saw an Asian person, y'all never saw women on their website. It's clear that it's because they only want certain groups to be visible in their space. Um, so then they want to be represented by certain people, and they also only represent certain people. So our community itself, the structure of our community is inherently like, exclusionary. Um, so like,
Which is
it,
yeah, it's fucking stupid, and it comes back to hurt people, doesn't it? It's like, oh
yeah,
yeah, it's somehow like, those white gays were, maybe some have some trauma from their childhood, and now they're excluding others.
yeah. I mean,
Hmm.
like, here's the thing: men are always going to be gross, but this is weird. Straight men are very gross in their own way. Like, a lot of them will not wipe their asses after they take a shit because they're like, wiping your ass is gay, hygiene is gay. Um, but at the same time, I tend to find that at our age now, like in high school, they were the worst. They were a hot mess. But like, when they're like 20 and above, suddenly they kind of mellow out and become like good people. And you're like, wait, what? Have you noticed this?
I no, I have not noticed this at all. Yeah, elaborate.
Like, straight guys all of a sudden are just like cool people when they age. They're like well
All right.
adjusted, not emotionally damaged, like like just chill with everything, not as petty, and you're just like, wait, like what? Y'all are like all right people now. In fact, y'all are like easier to get along with than a lot of the gays I know. What is this?
I don't know how many. I don't know how many straight guys I get along. No, of course I do. Uh, uh, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't. I'm not far enough into my 20s to have met the matured out. Um,
You say that like I'm so much more advanced in age than you, bitch. I am a
I,
couple of months older than you at most.
yeah, but you've had a whole extra year of uni than me.
That is true.
Swinging back to the relationships. I mean, gay dating is, yeah, just so different to straight dating. And I mean, we kind of mentioned it with like, it's more hookup culture. And what are your thoughts on open relationships? They seem to be more prevalent in the
Mm.
gay community.
I mean, like, I honestly have no opinion on them. I'm just like, they're just normal relationships like any other relationship. What I
Yeah.
will say is that I think that open relationships a should not be used as an excuse to cheat on your partner and just be like, if my partner knows, then it's not cheating. But I feel like it needs to be a serious conversation that all parties involved should be having on essentially even ground where it's not like, oh, if you don't agree to this, then I'll leave you or something like that. It needs
Mm.
to, kind of be a very open, honest, and equal conversation that they have. Um, as to the specifics of how they would do that, I have no idea because I have not been in an open relationship. Um, I don't know. But honestly, the concept of it doesn't bother me at all. I'm just like, it's a relationship like any other relationship. In
Yeah.
fact, I bet there are a lot of benefits where
Oh,
it's like if one person is gone for a while, it's like nobody is, the people who are left back home like aren't lonely, or like if I was in an open relationship and I had to, I don't know, leave for a bit and travel and do whatever, at least there would be people, hopefully one of whom could look after my plants.
I mean, is my idea of an open relationship is not you're not getting emotional. What's the word? It's not like you're getting any more emotional support from other people. It's just sex, right? Like if
hmm
your boyfriend is away, it's more like, okay, well, I'm gonna fuck somebody else because I
Oh, yep, yep, yep,
can't
yep.
go
In that
a week
sense,
without
yeah.
sex. I think like
Again, it's a
I'm not like
relationship. It's a
if yeah, I'm totally like yeah, I don't really have if you want to do that, I'm totally cool with that. I don't know if I could do it myself. And I kind of cuz I understand the thought of you can't be eating the same fruit your whole life. But then
yeah,
that's also kind of swindling. That's not the right word. But it's kind of compressing a relationship down to just sex and
yeah,
no, yeah, it's not
yeah.
from my
Again,
limited
like
understanding of relationships.
again, it's a conversation that they should be able to have openly, honestly, and with a an
Mm.
even like power dynamic. Um, but at the end of the day, it's just a relationship like any other one. It's just got like an extra little clause in the unspoken agreement, except in this case, the agreement has to be spoken.
I mean, yeah, every second guy on Grinder is in an open relationship, I swear.
You see, I have zero context for Grinder. I have never been on Grinder because it is so incredibly toxic and racist from what I've heard, and people have just told me to steer clear of it. So I'm just like, cool.
I would stay clear of it. It's like, it's kind of that thing you download on a Friday night because you're like, ooh, I'm in the mood. But otherwise, it's a big old time waster, and yeah, you can genuinely meet nice people from it. In fact, I'm kind of starting to yeah, I have a friend from Grinder,
Mm.
which is cool, which is fun. It's possible. I'm sure people do find relationships from it. Yeah.
Speaking of dating app cultures, for the straight listeners out there, just to clarify, gay Tinder and straight Tinder are different. Straight Tinder is hookups. Gay Tinder is relationships. Our equivalent of straight Tinder is Grinder, which is pretty much exclusively for hookups. I mean, people will be like looking for friends or like looking for a relationship, but we all know it's pretty much
Wait, did you
for
say that
hookups.
straight Tinder is for hookups?
Yeah.
Is that true?
Did you know? Yeah. Did you not know this?
No. I had
Gag.
yeah, I'm gagged right now. I thought people were genuinely looking for yeah, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense. I totally go to Tinder for relationships, not a
Yeah.
hookup. Although
Again, gay Tinder's different.
hookups can happen through gay Tinder as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Some people specifically have to say in their profiles, not looking for anything serious, just looking to hook up.
Mm.
I mean, speaking of like fun versus like serious relationships, what are your views on like marriage as like an institution?
I have no desire to get married. Maybe that's
Same.
interesting because I'm pretty sure like a couple months ago you were like, yes, I'm doing it for the economical advantage.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Again, like I'm not gonna trap myself in some marriage with some stranger, someone I don't know, someone who I don't like care about in that way. But if it happens, it happens. I'll just be like, cool. Like there are certain economic advantages to this. But like honestly, if there was no incentive, like if there was no like financial incentive to get married at all, no matter how strongly I felt for someone, I don't think I would ever get married.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm like I understand so much more. Like I'm just like, no, I am happy with myself, and I would love to find a boyfriend and enter a relationship, but I do not need to be fully committed to somebody.
Yeah.
And I kind of love the idea of just like the gays, yeah, getting marriage equality and then being like, yeah, cool, but I won't have it. I won't have your stupid shit marriage. I mean, that's
Yeah.
how I feel anyway.
I mean, like, I think a marriage can be a beautiful thing when two people do decide that they want to commit to each other on such a deep level.
Yeah, that's true.
Um, in but I feel like that has to come from a place of genuinely wanting to commit and loving each other so deeply that you don't mind the commitment, as opposed to people who get married for the security of it, who are like, okay, if we're going to, you know, um, be committed to each other, then at least I want certain things written, in writing. I want certain things to be acknowledged legally. Like, I feel like if it comes from that place of like, I just want the security of it, I I don't 100% like, maybe it's
Mm.
idealistic, but I'm like, that's not for me.
I feel, yeah, I agree. I also feel like sometimes people just get married because the relationship's getting boring. And like, oh,
Yikes.
what
Imagine
next?
imagine thinking that getting married is going to fix that. If anything, it's going to make things worse.
Oh,
It's
yikes.
more boring.
I mean, to be honest, I can imagine, for some reason, I don't ever want to get married, but for some reason, I can imagine myself just in the heat of the moment, just getting down on one knee. But like, just
But
completely abandoning my brain and being like, you know what? Fuck it. Do you want to marry me?
I mean, if it's spontaneous and it's genuine, like, I don't see any issue with that. I'd like, at the end of the day, like if you've been with your partner that long to the point
Mm,
where you're that spontaneous with them, the chances are that they probably understand that it's completely spontaneous and not planned, and like, do you know what I mean? Um, but at the at the same time, I cannot imagine being tied down to a person or location. I want to be that, like, I don't know, I'm a big fan of that whole like fire movement, like financial independence, retire early, but also at the same time I'm a student, so it doesn't apply to me. I'm never going to retire early. But
I
I
also
can't.
love that you're like, I don't want to be tied down to any location, but your dream is also to like live in a cottage and with a huge garden. What are they called? Those big old
or
English
or a
houses?
chateau.
That's the word I was
um
looking for. French houses.
I mean,
Sorry,
they're
my
not, yeah, French
mistake.
houses or a chateau. I mean,
Chateau.
like, here's the thing though. Like, just because I want one of those to have a huge garden and to have like a place that I find aesthetically appealing, um, doesn't mean that I want to be tied to it.
Yeah.
Um, and also, like, just like, I feel like it would be like a very small population of people. So if I were to get married, it would be like one in like 7 billion people who would be like the exact right fit, which is, impossible, um,
Exactly.
or highly, highly, highly improbable. Like, if you think of
It's
this as a
you,
Venn
baby. It's
diagram,
you.
if you think of this as a Venn diagram, here are all the circles, and they need to be in the middle of all of them. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the first circle is obviously going to be the people that I meet in my lifetime, right? Because there's no point if they exist but I never
Mm.
meet them. The
Yeah.
second circle is as adventurous as me. Like, they need to be as adventurous as I am. But then they
Okay.
also have to do, in the next circle, they also want to have to do the same things that I want to do. Because otherwise, I don't want to be tied down to them. I want to go do my own thing.
So,
Um,
okay, wait, you. Oh, okay, so you want to have like a same career sort of path.
not
That's
not
so
necessarily even
threatening
the
to
same
me.
career, not even the same career, but like, we have to want to like have the same plans for like a family. We want to travel to the
Oh,
same places. We want to live in the same kind of circumstances, in the same kind of house, um, stuff like that. So just compatibility in terms of like our vision of the future. Um, maybe I want to go and work in another country and they want to stay here. Like, do you know what I mean?
yeah.
Um, uh, it, it just so many like overlapping things that that are criteria that need to be fulfilled before I would feel comfortable committing to someone. Like, I just don't see it happening.
Mm. I just I idolize the life of me living in a tiny home on like in one of those little trailer homes, taking it around, being my best self and exploring, and then just traveling a heap. Um, but also, I don't know how that would work with career wise, but I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm a
I
big
mean,
fan of
like,
tiny homes. Fucking get me in one.
yeah. I mean, like, at the same time, yeah, like, my other plan was to just be like, I'm going to be that rich aunt who travels everywhere and wears those fancy gloves and shows up every holiday with bomb ass presents and tons of stories about her travels. But unfortunately,
Oh,
I also have to have the money to fund that kind of lifestyle, which means that I have to have a stable job, which means I can't just be traveling all the time.
I mean, you're on track for a stable job in psychology.
Oh, like definitely, but if I try to travel all the time, I'm not going to get a stable job.
Well, I mean, you're not, if you're not gonna have kids and you're not gonna get married, like you're gonna have money.
That's
You don't
true.
smoke.
That's also true.
um,
Um, but we'll
yeah.
see.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I definitely am excited to be the uncle, the gay uncle who just like buys the kids, like, yeah, my sister's kids, everything
Yeah.
that they want.
Yeah, pretty much. But
Yeah.
also high key, like as much as I want like to live in like this grand huge chateau with giant
Mm.
gardens, part of me also is really digging the like inner suburbs, like urban sprawl on the edge of the city, kind of like small apartment, minimal except tons of plants kind of aesthetic.
Yeah, I can see or
It's
like the
very like
new.
plant blogger aesthetic, which is like essentially I am a plant blogger already. I just don't have the apartment aesthetic.
Do you
I just
follow
have lots of plants.
do you follow boys with plants on Instagram?
No,
Oh, okay.
I do not.
It, maybe have I told you about it? Yeah, just like.
I mean like I've seen it, but at the same
Oh,
time
okay.
I'm just like meh. A lot of these plants are kind of like basic plants.
I
The
don't think
boys aren't
it's.
worth it. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, I don't think it's about the plants so much.
Yeah, like they're almost exclusively like thin white,
Oh,
like
I wouldn't say
thin
white, but
white
they're just buff.
buff. Yeah,
No, they're
very
not all
very
white,
like
are
cookie
they?
cutter attractive.
Cookie
From
cutter
what I've
attractor,
seen
that's
anyway.
true.
But at the same time, I've probably only seen particularly popular posts from them because I don't actually follow them. So again, the popular posts are
Mm.
probably the ones where the guy is white.
Well, that kind of brings us up to an hour this week. But on
Yes.
a final note, if you can't love yourself, how in the hell are you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen up in here?
Amen.
Now let the music
To
play.
to
Do
to
do
to the
do the
moon,
move.
to the moon, to the moon. Oh.